Hey there, fellow humans. Ever feel like something's off? Like someone's rigging the game? You're not alone. We're diving deep into the shadowy world of power dynamics. Buckle up, because this ride gets bumpy. We see it every day. Politicians making promises, judges laying down the law, CEOs raking in millions. But behind these familiar faces lies a deeper truth. A truth about who really calls the shots. It's easy to think everything's fair, that hard work equals success. But that's a fairy tale. The reality? A select few hold the reins, and they're not letting go anytime soon. We're talking about the puppet masters, the ones pulling the strings from the shadows. So, who are these mysterious figures? Let's shine a light on the three main players: the government, the judicial system, and the wealthy elite. Get ready, because things are about to get real. First up, we've got the government. Think presidents, prime ministers, all those folks in fancy buildings making big decisions. They write the laws, control the military, and generally try to keep things from going completely haywire. Next, we have the judicial system. Judges, lawyers, the folks in those black robes deciding who's naughty and who's nice. They enforce the laws, keep things fair, and make sure justice, supposedly, prevails. And last, but certainly not least, we've got the wealthy elite. Think billionaires, CEOs, folks swimming in so much cash, Scrooge McDuck would be jealous. They run the corporations, control most of the world's wealth, and, here's the kicker, often have the other two groups on speed dial. Now, you might be thinking, so what? That's just how the world works. And you're not wrong, but here's where things get interesting. And by interesting, I mean terrifying. The wealthy elite often use their influence to manipulate the government and judicial system for their own benefit. Remember those campaign contributions politicians are always talking about? Yeah, that's not about supporting democracy. It's about buying influence. The wealthy elite pour money into political campaigns, ensuring their candidates get elected. And guess what those candidates do once in office? That's right, pass laws that benefit their wealthy benefactors. And the judicial system isn't off the hook either. Ever notice how corporations rarely seem to face consequences for wrongdoing? Or how wealthy individuals can afford top-notch lawyers who can get them off on a technicality? That's not a coincidence. The wealthy elite have their fingers in this pie too, influencing judges, funding legal battles, and generally making sure the scales of justice tip in their favor. This manipulation, my friends, is how they maintain their grip on power. They rig the system to work for them, not for us. And the consequences are far-reaching, impacting everything from the food we eat to the education we receive. Section 4. From our plates to our minds. Examples of control. Let's talk food. Ever wonder why unhealthy processed food is so cheap while fresh produce can break the bank? Look no further than the agricultural subsidies given to massive corporations producing those sugary, salty, addictive snacks. These subsidies, often lobbied for by, you guessed it, the wealthy elite, make it nearly impossible for smaller, healthier alternatives to compete. Result? Our diets suffer, and our healthcare costs skyrocket. And then there's education. We're constantly told that education is the key to success. But what happens when the wealthy elite influence school curriculums, pushing for standardized tests and cutting funding for arts and humanities? We end up with a system that churns out obedient workers instead of critical thinkers. Critical thinking, after all, is bad for business when you're trying to maintain control. But wait, there's more. Let's not forget the opioid crisis, fueled by pharmaceutical companies pushing highly addictive painkillers. These companies, often owned by, surprise, the wealthy elite, made billions while millions of people became addicted. And the government? Well, they were busy looking the other way, thanks to those generous campaign contributions. It's a vicious cycle, and we're all caught in the spin. Section 5. A world out of balance. The price we pay. This manipulation comes at a steep price. We see it in the widening gap between the rich and the poor, the erosion of our democracy, and the decline of our collective well-being. We're working longer hours for less pay, struggling to afford healthcare and education, and feeling increasingly powerless in the face of such overwhelming forces. It's like we're all stuck on a giant hamster wheel, running and running but getting nowhere. And all the while, the wealthy elite are sitting pretty, sipping champagne from their ivory towers and laughing all the way to the bank. It's enough to make you want to scream, right? But before you succumb to despair, remember this. Recognizing the problem is the first step towards fixing it. Section 6. Taking back the reins. A glimmer of hope? So, what can we do? Well, we can start by getting informed. Read up on the issues, follow independent news sources, and educate yourself about how power really operates in our society. Knowledge is power, as they say, and understanding the game is crucial to changing the rules. We can also support organizations and individuals fighting for change. From grassroots movements to investigative journalists, there are people out there working tirelessly to expose corruption, hold the powerful accountable, and create a more just and equitable world. And most importantly, we can vote. I know, voting can feel like shouting into the void sometimes, but it's still our most powerful tool for enacting change. We need to elect officials who will actually represent our interests, not the interests of their wealthy donors. It's an uphill battle, no doubt. But the future of our society, our planet, and our very humanity depends on us stepping up and demanding better. We can't afford to stay silent any longer. Let's make some noise.